Mr Ludlow, if you weren't allowed to vote for yourself, who would you vote for?
Tony.
We live just a hop, step and a jump outside the city boundary. I'll be voting in the district.
Mr Lush.
I'd vote for Sir Tim Shadbolt, better the devil you know.
Mr Clark.
No, I'd vote for Rhea. I think she's got some good new ideas.
Mr Peterson.
I'd only vote for myself because I don't think the rest are up to it.
Please don't judge. Don't dodge the question, Mr Peterson. You can't dodge.
Just hang on, but putting that aside, I'd let the people decide. And no, I wouldn't vote for anybody else.
We'll take that as a non-response from you, Mr Peterson. Ms Bond?
If I could take a slice out of some of these candidates, I would to vote for them for mayor. However, we need stability, we need experience, we need someone that can rule and chair meetings and actually work with their councillors.
Which one of the other candidates is it?
I'm pressed to say Darren.
Thank you. Stevie, turn the show.
I would be editing the box and adding Ian Pottinger back in.
Some gasps.
I'm here because of Tim. I used to follow him when I was at school. I'd vote for Tim.
And finally, Ms Biddle.
I want a mayor that's full-time, and I do want a mayor that takes people with, and for that reason I wouldn't vote for you, Marcus, and I wouldn't vote for Nobby Clark. I would vote for Darren.
Tony, I'll start with you. Do you support stage 2 of the City Streetscapes project?
I think that has already been allocated in the funding round, adopted in the long-term plan, and I would like to see something finished.
We've assured the retailers that we would finish it. Those retailers have put up with diggers and people for months outside their shops.
Marcus is talking about two different things. But the debate we've had is on stage 2. So nobody in this room would want us to not finish stage 1. Stage 1 is S Street and Don Street. I don't support the part that goes up S Street past the Civic Administration building. So that's $7 million saved by not going up S Street.
If you are unsuccessful in your bid for the mayoralty, will you run again?
No.
No, one I'm done, one off offer, that's it for me. If I'm gone, that's it. You've got this time, that's the only one.
Mr Clark.
Very rarely I ever agree with Marcus.
I have many more opportunities to stand for mayor.
The questions about the City of Heart, I think we've started well with the mall. I think the concern is the north of Esk Street. I think council needs to work with those landlords to attract valuable tenants.
It's not just about a city block, it's about our city and our people.
I think we've got a good step in the right direction, but we've got a lot more work to do.
Arts and culture needs to come back into the CBD, into those spaces.
What skills can you offer when it comes to balancing the community's needs and the need for financial prudence?
I've been watching some of the projects we've had in council. 9 of them have gone up on eye-watering $75.3 million. I'm mayor, I'll claw back about $50 million worth of expenditure.
Mr Lush.
The thing that concerns me mainly is the culture within the council. We've got tremendous staff there that have been taken from around the country. They work incredibly hard. If we don't start treating them with the respect that they need, then those people will go. So I think the mayor's job is to create a welcoming and enjoyable environment for those people to work in, because it's not like they're that now. And I think that's the really important thing, to create that environment so those people there stay. Otherwise we lose them in this job market. It'll be very hard to get more people to work there.
Mr Lush, does that have anything to do with balancing the community's needs and the need for financial prudence?
Absolutely. Because the people there, the council workers, they're obsessed about financial prudence.
Ms Biddle, how focused are you on city renewal, and do you think money is better spent elsewhere?
The council has adopted, like I said, $115 million worth of capital works on top of core infrastructure investments, and that's what scares me the most.
The point that Tony made earlier on about the amount of money, a lot of that has been subsidised with funding from central government.
How much of that's been subsidised from central government? Because I don't see that in your long-term plan, and I definitely don't see that in the financials that I have in front of me. So how much
the long-term
of those $150 million projects are funded by government? How much?
More than a third.
How much?
More than a third.
How much?
Well, that would be about...
I'm sorry, I disagree. I don't believe that for a minute. It's definitely not stipulated in the long-term plan. And it's definitely not guaranteed, considering next year there will be an election and could potentially be a new government that could come and take that as quick as they give it
Are you
out.
confident that central government will keep that money flowing?
Depends on the government. Central government does change the rules.
If you realise your costs are running away from you, and you've got high cost of living, which is hurting just about every family in this room, we sometimes have to cut our projects back because we cannot afford to do them when we've got 6% inflation.
What role should council have in the marketing of this city and in attracting people to live
We've
here?
cut back the amount of money that we're spending on arts and cultural activity in the city, and that's not healthy.
I think that the key issue is not that at all. Affordability of houses in our community is dire. So council needs to get into bed with local iwi and with private developers and get more houses built.
We've got to make the people coming here feel so damn special. It's the best place they've ever been.
Council's responsibility is to attract investment, better jobs, better businesses, better growth, better development. It's not our responsibility to wave magic wands. Excuse me. It's not our responsibility to wave magic wands and fix government issues.
Do you think it's more important for council to focus on autonomy and ownership of its infrastructure and assets, or do you think it's more important that council focuses on well-being in the community?
Gee, what a difficult question, a hard one to draw. What I can say is that we can't control what happens in central government. We can protest fiercely, but we can't control it. What I think we need to do, though, is because we're remote, because we probably trend the other way from the government, and because we have got down here a lack of leadership, our relationship with central government is not fantastic. It needs to be a lot better. The Prime Minister and certainly some of the ministers need to come down here more often, and I think that's something that needs to happen from day one.
Surely the infrastructure of the city feeds directly into the well-being of this city. Surely you want to keep your autonomy, you want to keep the assets that belong to this city, Ms. Bond.
When we lose our infrastructure and our water rights, we've actually lost our investment in our pipes, our stormwater, drinking water. We need to get up like we did with the SRT and let this government know they won't take away our assets.
Mr. Ludlow.
Well, that didn't work because they did.
Yes, but we need to, we're in the second round. When they come back through, we can still fight. Second round
There's no
legislation.
second round.
In legislation.
The opportunity for the council to vote that down has been and gone. The reality is we need to prepare our community for a new bloody water bill. 6 people, that's all there's going to be. 6 people will make the decisions on your assets.
I've been a strong opponent of Three Waters for quite some time. The time has not passed. The takeover is after our election and after the next general election. We've got $1.2 billion worth of assets. We've only got a small amount of debt against them. We've done very well as a city, and if we don't stand up, not only will you pay more for the water, you will actually end up subsidising other councils who haven't done the work.
Define this role for your people, for your voters here tonight.
You're an advocate, a bit of a showman, but it's actually making sure that council runs really well.
I think you have the potential to change culture, to invigorate a city, to sell a vision.
Get alongside. Mr. Clark, what would you do? What is the role?
2 key roles for a mayor is to make sure they have a strong relationship with the chief executive. Secondly, to have stronger ties with the community.
This is probably the most important job in our city, and all jokes and laughs aside, it should be taken really seriously.
How will you promote and foster a council that works together with a productive team
We
culture?
don't have any quality time together, which allows us to bind together around certain key outcomes that we want to do. We just rock and roll up to meetings. We debate sometimes and not very much.
Exactly.
I am committed.
Okay, so what's the question? So what?
Is this council fostering a productive team culture? And what would make a difference? Why would you make a difference in the next council?
There needs to be leadership. The councils need to, at some level, respect and get on with each other. We can respect a wide, diverse range of opinions, but there needs to be civility. There needs to be time spent together with the mayor, with the deputy mayor.
Standing orders is what gets things done on council. So I want to make sure that the elected councillors actually know how to get things across the table.
Last year, council invited mana whenua representatives to the table for the first time as council honoured its commitment to honouring Te Tiriti o Waitangi. Would you lead the continuation of this representation? If so, how would you reflect that in the role as mayor? If not, why not?
Last year I was opposed to mana whenua reps, and the rationale for that was they were attached to decision-making committees. Invercargill was quite unique because of the situation we had with our mayor. Instead of decisions being made at the full council level, which is where most councils make their decisions, and committees just make recommendations. We delegated our authorities down to those committees, so they're decision-making committees. The Act that we work under states that full council should only be for elected members, and elected members only. We did consult widely enough on it with the public about how that affected our democracy. I am supportive of iwi having a voice and mana whenua having a voice, but not on decision-making bodies.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Do mana whenua not deserve a role in decision-making in this part of New Zealand?
The Local Government Act is quite clear. Decisions are made at full council. We're quite unique. The only place in New Zealand that has mana whenua representatives in decision-making roles is Environment Canterbury.
And although I absolutely respect the place of mana whenua, there is also a representation body for all Māori in our community. This time with all this racial rhetoric and segregation, this is not the stuff that we need to be focusing on.
What do you think is the number one risk for the city when talking about climate change?
The number one risk is we don't take it seriously. Climate change is here, we need to take it seriously. Get rid of the mayoral car, solar panels on the pensioner house, and that's a win straight away.
Climate change, I think one of the biggest issues in Invercargill is that Invercargill City Council's responsibility is to conduct what we call spatial planning. Sounds really boring, but really important. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah, we have actually gone and done that. It's called the district plan, which tells you where things can be.
I know, but that took 10 years to make, and it's now out of date.
That's actually how long they take to do.
The biggest risk is not excess water, it's actually a shortage of water. We should enforce it onto the regional councils to deal with both environmental matters and also to do with climate change. I've got no water supply from the city. I'm quite healthy, although some people would argue otherwise. Birds swim in my guttering every day, and I survive quite nicely. So we need to start thinking about consenting property to having water tanks.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our candidates. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much for your time on stage. Get out there, ladies and gentlemen. Have your say. Local government democracy. It's important for us all. Thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of your evening.